You open your laptop with intention. The day stretches ahead, full of promise. You know what matters. You sit down to do the deep work that will move everything forward. 10 minutes later, your eyes drift to your phone. A notification, a quick check, then another tab, then a sudden urge to just organize your desk first. Before you know it, hours have slipped by. The important task remains untouched, and you feel the familiar sting of frustration, the quiet disappointment in yourself. You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined. You are caught in something deeper, something most productivity advice never addresses. This is where focus fails for so many of us, even the motivated ones, even the ambitious ones, even those who have read the books, tried the apps, built the morning routines. Something pulls you away, not because you lack willpower, but because you are fighting the wrong battle. Welcome to today's audiobook, Why Your Focus Fails, Polarity Law for Deep Work. In the next 90 minutes, we are not going to promise you a distraction-free life. We are not going to tell you to delete every app or move to a cabin in the woods. We are going to do something far more powerful. We are going to show you how to master the hidden tensions that actually govern your attention. We are going to introduce you to the Polarity Law. Focus does not come from eliminating one side of life's natural opposites. It comes from learning to hold both sides wisely. Freedom and structure, stimulation and boredom, urgency and depth, energy and rest. These are not enemies to conquer. They are polarities to navigate. When you fight them, your focus collapses. When you understand them, your focus becomes stable, deep, and sustainable. Think about it. You crave freedom to explore ideas, yet without structure, your mind wanders endlessly. You need stimulation to stay engaged, yet too much of it leaves you restless and shallow. You feel the pressure of urgency to produce results, yet real depth requires spacious, unhurried attention. These tensions are not problems to solve once and for all. They are the very nature of a conscious life. The question is not how to remove them. The question is how to dance with them. Most people treat focus like a battlefield. They declare war on distractions. They build rigid systems. They force themselves into unnatural states of concentration. For a while it works. Then life shifts, the system breaks, and the cycle of guilt and starting over begins again. That approach misunderstands the game. The Polarity Law reveals a quieter truth. Your attention is not a muscle to be whipped into submission. It is a dynamic balance between opposing forces that exist inside you and around you. Master the relationship between those forces, and focus stops being a daily struggle. It becomes your natural state. You will still feel the pull of distraction. You will still have days when motivation feels distant, but you will no longer be at their mercy. You will know exactly why your focus is wavering and how to gently guide it back, without force, without self-judgment, without another abandoned productivity system. Over the course of this audiobook, we will walk together through the hidden reasons your focus fails. We will examine the common myths that keep you trapped in surface-level attention. We will explore how polarity operates in your mind, your environment, and your daily choices. And most importantly, we will train practical ways to manage these tensions so you can access deep work with greater ease and consistency. You will learn why highly motivated people often struggle the most with sustained focus. You will discover how the very desire for perfect concentration creates the conditions that destroy it. You will see how boredom is not the enemy of focus, but one of its necessary ingredients. You will understand the intelligent rhythm between urgency and patience that allows creative and intellectual work to flourish. Imagine sitting down to write, code, strategize, or study, and instead of fighting an internal civil war, you feel a quiet alignment. The distractions are still there, but they no longer own you. The resistance still appears, but you know how to meet it. Your mind becomes spacious enough to go deep, yet disciplined enough to stay there. That is what the polarity law makes possible. This is not about becoming a productivity machine. It is about becoming a more integrated human being, one who can hold complexity without collapsing into chaos, one who can create meaningful work without sacrificing peace, one who can honor both the wildness of inspiration and the power of focused execution. Throughout this journey, we will challenge the surface level advice you have probably heard before. We will go beneath it to the deeper mechanics of attention. Chapter by chapter, we will dismantle the habits that scatter you and build the internal framework that holds you steady. Not through willpower hacks, but through awareness, acceptance, and intelligent practice. You will learn to create structure that feels like freedom, to use stimulation without becoming addicted to it, to harness urgency without letting it shallow your work, to rest without guilt and work without burnout. These are not opposing goals. They are complementary forces that, when balanced, generate extraordinary focus. And here is the most liberating part. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need superhuman discipline. You only need to become more conscious of the polarities already at play in your life. Awareness itself begins to shift the balance. Small, consistent adjustments compound into profound capacity for deep work. By the end of this audiobook, you will see your wandering attention not as a personal failing, but as valuable information about which polarity needs attention. You will have practical tools to respond to that information with skill instead of self-criticism. You will carry a new internal steadiness that survives notifications, deadlines, creative blocks, and the endless noise of modern life. Take a slow breath with me right now. Feel your shoulders settle. Feel the simple presence of this moment. This is where deep work begins, not in force, but in friendly awareness of what is already happening inside you. So settle in. Let the noise of the day fade into the background for these moments. Open your mind and your attention. The journey into the polarity law begins now. And by the time we finish, you will never relate to your focus or your distractions the same way again. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The hidden polarity destroying your attention. You sit down with genuine intention. The coffee is warm. The notifications are silenced. You have blocked out the next 2 hours for deep, meaningful work, the kind that actually moves your life forward. 10 minutes pass. Your mind feels sharp at first. Then something shifts. A subtle restlessness. An urge to check just one thing. Before you know it, you are 30 tabs deep, answering messages that could wait, or staring at the screen, wondering where the time went. You close the laptop frustrated. Another day where effort did not equal progress. You are not alone in this. And you are certainly not lacking in motivation or intelligence. What you are experiencing is something quieter, more fundamental. Something most focus advice never touches. This is the hidden polarity destroying your attention. The polarity law is simple, yet profound. Your ability to focus does not come from eliminating all opposing forces. It emerges from intelligently balancing the natural tensions between them: freedom and structure, stimulation and boredom, urgency and spaciousness. These are not problems to solve. They are polarities to navigate. When you fight them, your attention fragments. When you learn to hold them in balance, focus becomes steady and deep. Most of us were taught the opposite. The willpower myth says, if you are distracted, you simply need more discipline. Build stricter routines. Remove every temptation. Force yourself into concentration. Push harder. This approach works for short bursts. Then reality returns. The phone, the thoughts, the shifting energy, and the cycle repeats. You blame yourself. You try another system, and focus remains elusive. But here is the deeper truth. Your attention is not a soldier to be commanded. It is a living balance between opposing forces that exist inside every human mind. Ignore this, and even the strongest willpower eventually collapses. Understand it, and focus stops feeling like constant warfare. Consider the tension between freedom and structure. You need the freedom to let your mind wander and make unexpected connections. Yet, without structure, that freedom becomes scattered chaos. You need stimulation to stay engaged with your work. Yet, too much stimulation leaves you restless and shallow. You feel the pressure of urgency to deliver results. Yet, real depth requires unhurried presence. These are not contradictions to resolve once and for all. They are dynamic polarities that must be danced with daily. Psychologists have observed this pattern for decades. Research on self-regulation shows that rigid attempts at control often lead to rebound effects, stronger distractions, and greater mental fatigue. Your brain is not broken. It is simply responding to the way you relate to these natural tensions. Imagine a tightrope walker. If she fights the natural sway of the rope, she falls. If she forces absolute stillness, she cannot move forward. Her skill lies in working with the subtle shifts, making constant micro-adjustments. Focus works the same way. The polarity is always there. Mastery comes not from removing the tension, but from becoming graceful within it. Let me share a story. There was a talented writer I know who dreamed of finishing her book. She tried everything: writing sprints, distraction blockers, accountability partners. Some days she produced pages. Most days she stared at the screen, paralyzed by distraction or perfectionism. She felt like a failure. One day, she stopped fighting. She noticed the polarity at play. She noticed that her mornings brought high energy and creative freedom, but without gentle structure, she wandered. Her afternoons brought natural urgency, but too much pressure made her work shallow. Thus, instead of forcing one perfect state, she began to design her day around these natural rhythms. She gave her mind freedom in the morning with loose structure. She used afternoon urgency for editing and refinement. As a result, the book began to flow, not because she became superhuman, but because she stopped battling the natural polarities within herself. This is the shift the polarity law invites you to make. Look around at the common imbalances you probably recognize in your own life. Some people lean too far into freedom. Their days feel spacious, but scattered. Ideas everywhere, completion nowhere. Others over-embrace structure. Their schedules are perfect, yet their work feels mechanical and uninspired. Some chase constant stimulation, new tools, new methods, endless input, until their attention span shrinks to minutes. Others try to force pure boredom and presence, only to burn out from the resistance it creates. Each extreme feels productive for a moment. Then the opposite force swings back hard, like a pendulum. That swing is what destroys consistent focus. The old way says, choose one side and commit harder. The polarity law says, learn to hold both. Honor the freedom while providing enough structure to contain it. Welcome healthy stimulation while protecting pockets of quiet boredom where depth can emerge. Use urgency as fuel without letting it drown out presence. Here is a simple way to begin right now. The next time you sit down to do focused work, pause before you begin. Ask yourself 3 gentle questions. What polarity am I feeling right now? Am I craving more freedom or more structure? More stimulation or more quiet? More urgency or more spaciousness? Do not judge the answer. Simply notice. Then make one small adjustment. If you feel scattered, add a gentle constraint, like writing for just 20 minutes without editing. If you feel rigid and stuck, give yourself 5 minutes of pure free association first. This is not another productivity hack. It is a new relationship with your own mind. Awareness of polarity itself begins to restore balance. You stop fighting what is and start working with it. You will still have moments when focus feels fragile. That is human. But now you will understand why. You will see the hidden polarity instead of blaming your willpower. And in that seeing, something powerful begins to shift. Your attention becomes less like a battlefield and more like a skilled conversation with yourself, with your energy, with the natural rhythms of a focused life. This is only the beginning. As you move through the chapters ahead, you will learn to identify the specific polarities affecting your work, how to balance them with practical skill, and how to turn these daily tensions into the very source of your deepest focus. For now, carry this truth with you. The force destroying your attention is not weakness. It is the unacknowledged polarity you have been fighting. Make peace with it, and focus stops being a struggle you endure. It becomes a state you naturally return to. Chapter 2. The 6 Deadly Polarities of Modern Work. You check your calendar. It is packed with meetings. Your inbox overflows. Notifications arrive every few minutes. You tell yourself today will be different. Today you will finally do the real work. Yet, by evening, you feel drained, scattered, and strangely unfulfilled. Another day swallowed by activity that produced little depth. Why does this happen so consistently, even to the most capable among us? The answer lies in 6 deadly polarities of modern work. These natural tensions are not flaws in your character. They are the invisible forces shaping every moment of your attention. When you fight them or collapse into one extreme, focus collapses with you. When you learn to navigate them wisely, deep work becomes not only possible, but sustainable. Let us examine them one by one. Connectivity versus solitude. You are told to stay reachable. Teams, clients, networks, all demand constant connection. Yet, the deepest ideas, the clearest thinking, the most creative breakthroughs have always emerged in solitude. The tension destroys focus because you feel guilty stepping away and anxious when you do. You stay half present everywhere, responding to messages while pretending to work, checking updates while pretending to rest. Your nervous system never fully lands. History offers a quiet lesson. Beethoven walked alone for hours through Vienna's streets, letting melodies form in isolation before returning to structure them. Einstein insisted on long periods of solitary thought. They understood that connection without solitude produces noise, while solitude without connection produces isolation. The surface view says, be always available. The deeper truth is this: true connection flows from a well that is filled in solitude. Practical shift. Protect one unbroken block of solitude each day, even 30 minutes, with your phone in another room. Tell others you are in deep work. When the urge to check your phone arises, simply notice it and return to presence. Solitude is not withdrawal. It is preparation for meaningful connection. Urgency versus importance. The world screams for speed. Deadlines, notifications, requests, they all feel urgent. Yet, the work that truly matters often moves slowly, requires patience, and refuses to shout. You chase the urgent and postpone the important. Days fill with small fires, while the slow-burning work that would transform your life waits quietly in the corner. Over time, this imbalance creates a quiet panic. You are busy, but not advancing. A story comes to mind. A gifted executive once spent years extinguishing daily crises in his company. He was admired for his responsiveness. Yet, when the company needed a bold strategic shift, he had no bandwidth left. The urgent had quietly killed the important. The Polarity Law teaches you to ask, what deserves my deepest attention right now, even if it does not scream the loudest? Practical rebalancing. At the beginning of each day, identify your one important task, the one that would make everything else easier or unnecessary. Give it your first and best energy. Handle urgent matters in a dedicated window later. Urgency gets its due, but importance gets your soul. Stimulation versus depth. Modern work offers endless stimulation, new tools, fresh information, rapid feedback, dopamine loops. Your brain loves it. Yet, depth requires something quite different: sustained attention on one thing, long enough for insight to emerge. You jump between articles, videos, chats, and tabs. Each provides a small hit of stimulation. None provides depth. The result is a mind that is entertained, but rarely transformed. Think of the great composers or scientists. They did not work in constant stimulation. They created conditions for immersion, sometimes boring, often repetitive, until something profound broke through the surface. The surface approach chases more input. The deeper truth is that depth is born in the space between stimuli. Practical tip: practice single input work sessions. One document, one problem. No tabs, no music with lyrics, no background chatter. When your mind seeks stimulation, gently bring it back. Start with 20 minutes. Build from there. The discomfort you feel is not resistance. It is the doorway to depth. Autonomy versus routine. You crave freedom to choose when, how, and what you work on. Yet, without routine, that autonomy becomes paralysis. Decisions fatigue you. Days lose shape. Too much routine, on the other hand, and work becomes mechanical. Creativity withers. You follow the system, but lose the spark. Many creative professionals fall into this trap. They rebel against routine until their days dissolve into chaos, then impose rigid schedules that slowly kill their joy. The wiser path is rhythmic structure, enough routine to create momentum, enough autonomy to honor your natural energy. Practical mindset shift. Design anchor routines for your deep work. Same time, same place, same starting ritual. Within that container, grant yourself freedom of method and exploration. The structure holds you. The autonomy keeps you alive. Perfectionism versus progress. You want your work to be excellent. That desire is noble. Yet, perfectionism demands that it be flawless before it sees the light of day. Progress simply asks you to ship, to iterate, to learn through doing. This polarity creates procrastination, disguised as high standards. You rewrite the same paragraph endlessly. You delay launching until conditions are perfect. Meanwhile, time passes and opportunities fade. A sculptor does not wait for the perfect block of marble. She just begins. Each strike teaches her. The masterpiece emerges through thousands of imperfect movements. Perfectionism protects your ego. Progress serves your growth. Practical exercise. Adopt the minimum viable progress rule. Set a clear standard for what done enough for now looks like. Complete it. Release it. Use the feedback to improve the next version. Repeat. Momentum will teach you more than perfection ever could. Multitasking versus singularity. You have been praised for your ability to juggle many things. Modern culture celebrates it. Yet, your brain was never designed for true multitasking. It rapidly switches attention, paying a heavy cognitive tax each time. Singularity, that is, giving one thing your full presence, feels slower at first, but it produces results of completely different quality. The surface belief says more simultaneous activity equals more output. The deeper truth is that singularity creates exponential returns in both quality and satisfaction. Practical rebalancing. Use the one tab, one task principle during deep work. When you notice yourself branching into multiple activities, pause and ask, what is the single most valuable thing I can do right now? Return to it completely. Protect that singularity as you would protect your most precious resource, because it is. These six polarities, connectivity and solitude, urgency and importance, stimulation and depth, autonomy and routine, perfectionism and progress, multitasking and singularity, run through every workday like underground rivers. You cannot remove them. You can only learn to navigate them. When you hold both sides of each polarity with awareness, something remarkable happens. You stop swinging wildly between extremes. You develop a steady, intelligent rhythm. Your energy lasts longer. Your thinking goes deeper. Your output carries more weight. This is the foundation the polarity law builds. Not a perfect, frictionless state, but a wise, integrated way of working that honors your full humanity. You will still feel the pull toward one side or the other. That is natural. The difference now is that you see the polarity clearly. You understand why it arises, and you know how to make the small adjustments that restore balance. Master these six, and deep work stops being something you occasionally achieve through heroic effort. It becomes the natural expression of a mind that has learned to dance with tension instead of fighting it. Take a moment now. Breathe. Feel the quiet space this awareness creates inside you. The polarities will still be there when you return to your work, but you will meet them differently. More centered, more skilled, more free. Chapter 3. Mapping your personal focus polarities. You have tried the apps. You have read the books. You have built morning routines and blocked distractions. Yet, something still feels off. Some days your focus flows effortlessly. Other days, even with the same tools and the same environment, your attention scatters like leaves in the wind. You wonder what is wrong with you. Why does focus feel so inconsistent? Nothing is wrong with you. You have simply never mapped your personal polarities. The polarity law teaches that the tensions destroying your focus are not the same for everyone. They interact with your unique personality, your work, your energy patterns, and your life circumstances. What feels like random failure is actually a predictable pattern once you learn to see it. This chapter is your map, not a generic productivity plan, but a mirror that shows you exactly where your attention is being pulled apart. Imagine a sailor who keeps crashing into the same hidden rocks. He can blame the boat, the weather, or his skill, or he can finally chart the reefs unique to his route. Mapping your polarities is that chart. It turns confusion into clarity. It turns self-blame into understanding. And understanding is the beginning of real mastery. Let us begin with a simple framework. There are six core polarities we explored earlier. For each one, you will gently assess where you tend to lean. This is not about judgment. It is about observation. Awareness itself starts to loosen the grip of these forces. Take a quiet moment now. Breathe slowly. As you read each polarity, notice what feels true in your body and your daily experience. Connectivity versus solitude. Do you feel anxious when disconnected for more than an hour? Or do you feel guilty when you protect uninterrupted time? Do you secretly crave solitude but rarely claim it? Or do you isolate yourself too much and lose momentum? Urgency versus importance. Are you constantly putting out small fires while your most meaningful work waits? Or do you focus so much on long-term vision that daily responsibilities pile up and create chaos? Stimulation versus depth. Do you jump between information sources, tools, and ideas, chasing novelty? Or do you force yourself into deep work so rigidly that you burn out and resist returning? Autonomy versus routine. Does too much freedom leave your days shapeless and unproductive? Or does strict routine slowly drain your creativity and joy? Perfectionism versus progress. Do you delay shipping because it is not yet perfect? Or do you rush things out and later regret the quality? Multitasking versus singularity. Do you pride yourself on handling many things at once, only to finish the day exhausted with little completed? Or do you become so single-focused that you miss important surrounding signals? Most people discover they overswing in two or three of these polarities. That is normal. The surface view says you simply need more discipline. The deeper truth is that your unique pattern reveals your natural tendencies and your greatest opportunities for balance. Consider Sarah, a creative director at a fast-growing startup. She thrived on autonomy and stimulation. Her days were filled with new projects, spontaneous brainstorming, and constant team chats. On paper, she was highly productive. Yet, her deep strategic work, the campaigns that truly defined her reputation, kept getting postponed. She lived in the polarity of autonomy versus routine and stimulation versus depth. Without realizing it, she had built a life of beautiful chaos. When she finally mapped her polarities, she saw the pattern clearly. The awareness alone reduced her self-criticism. She began protecting small containers of routine and depth without killing her creative freedom. Then there is Michael, a software engineer who loved structure. He followed detailed schedules, used sophisticated productivity systems, and prided himself on singular focus. Yet, he felt increasingly uninspired. His code was clean, but his solutions lacked elegance and innovation. His dominant polarities were routine over autonomy and singularity over stimulation. He needed just enough freedom and healthy input to spark creativity. Once he saw this, he stopped forcing himself into an unnatural mold. He began experimenting with gentle autonomy within his routines. His work came alive again. You may recognize yourself in these stories, or you may see an entirely different combination. That is the power of this mapping. It is personal. Here is a practical way to make this concrete. Take a piece of paper or open a quiet note. For each polarity, score yourself from 1 to 5. 1 means you lean heavily toward the first side, connectivity, urgency, stimulation, autonomy, perfectionism, multitasking. 5 means you lean heavily toward the second side, solitude, importance, depth, routine, progress, singularity. 3 means you feel relatively balanced. Be honest. No one is watching. This is for you. After scoring, look for patterns. Which polarities show the strongest imbalance? Which ones create the most friction in your daily life? Write a short sentence for each. I tend to overvalue so and so at the expense of so and so. Now, go deeper with these reflective prompts. Give yourself time. There is no rush. First prompt. Think of the last 3 times your focus completely broke down. What polarity was most active in that moment? What pulled you away? What did you need more of or less of to stay centered? Second prompt. When do you do your best deep work naturally? What conditions were present? How does that moment reflect a healthy balance of these polarities? Third prompt. Imagine your ideal focus day. Where do you see gentle structure meeting freedom? Where does urgency support importance without overwhelming it? Describe it in detail. As you do this exercise, something powerful often happens. You have an aha moment. You realize that the scattered feeling is not random. It is information. Your mind and body have been speaking to you through these imbalances all along. You simply never had the language to listen. This realization shifts everything. You stop fighting yourself. You stop calling your natural rhythms lazy or undisciplined. Instead, you begin a wiser relationship with your attention. You start designing your days and your environment to honor your personal polarities, rather than forcing yourself into someone else's ideal. The surface approach to focus says, follow this universal system and you will succeed. The deeper truth is this. The most sustainable focus emerges when you understand your own map and navigate accordingly. No two sailors face identical waters. No two minds need identical conditions. Awareness of your personal polarities is not the end. It is the beginning of true mastery. Once you see your patterns clearly, you can begin making small, intelligent adjustments. You learn when to lean into solitude and when to reconnect, when to harness urgency and when to protect importance, when to allow stimulation and when to guard depth. These adjustments do not require perfection. They require presence. A little more awareness each day. A little more compassion for your unique way of working. A little more skill in holding both sides of every tension. Carry this understanding with you as we continue. For now, sit with what you have discovered. Let it settle. Feel the quiet freedom that comes from truly knowing yourself. Chapter 4. Polarity-based deep work rituals. You have blocked the time. The calendar looks perfect. Notifications are off. Yet, 30 minutes in, your mind begins to drift. The rigid structure that promised focus starts to feel like a cage. By the end of the day, you have spent hours at your desk, but accomplished surprisingly little. This is the quiet failure of traditional time blocking. It treats you like a machine that can be programmed into perfect concentration. It ignores the living polarities within you. Polarity-based rituals are different. They do not fight your natural tensions. They harness them. They create intelligent rhythms where freedom and structure dance together, where stimulation serves depth, and where urgency supports importance without overwhelming it. These rituals turn the polarity law into daily practice. They transform deep work from something you force into something you flow with. The surface approach says, build a stricter schedule and stick to it, no matter what. The deeper truth is this. Sustainable focus emerges when your rituals honor the natural opposites inside you. When you stop battling tension and start working with it, your attention becomes more stable, more creative, and more powerful. Let us build these rituals together. The daily anchor ritual, structure with built-in freedom. Choose one important deep work block each day. 90 minutes is often ideal. Within that block, use the 90-20 polarity cycle. Work with singular focus for 90 minutes. Then give yourself a 20-minute window of intentional freedom. No rules. Walk. Stare out the window. Write nonsense. Let your mind wander. This is not a break. It is a deliberate polarity. The structure creates momentum. The freedom allows insights to emerge and integration to happen. Most people either overstructure and burn out or understructure and scatter. This rhythm holds both. A novelist I know struggled for years with rigid writing schedules. She would force herself to sit until she produced a certain number of words. Most days ended in frustration. When she adopted the 90-20 rhythm, her daily output doubled. Not because she worked more, but because she stopped fighting her natural need for both discipline and spaciousness. The words began to flow because her mind trusted the ritual. The stimulation-depth cycle. Design a weekly rhythm. 3 days focused on deep, singular immersion with minimal input. 2 days dedicated to scheduled chaos, exploring new ideas, reading broadly, having conversations, playing with tools. 1 day for synthesis and rest. This prevents the common trap. Too many deep days lead to mental fatigue and resistance. Too much stimulation leaves you entertained, but shallow. The cycle honors both poles. Implementation steps. 1. Mark your calendar clearly. Deep days in one color, exploration days in another. 2. On deep days, protect the environment. Same place, same starting ritual, minimal notifications. 3. On exploration days, allow yourself to follow curiosity without guilt. 4. End each exploration day with 10 minutes of noting what sparked energy. You will notice patterns emerge. Certain types of stimulation feed your best work. Others distract. The ritual teaches you to choose wisely. Environment polarity design. Create 2 zones if possible. A focused zone, minimal, quiet, single purpose. A reflection zone, more open, with books, notes, perhaps a comfortable chair by a window. Move between them intentionally. When you feel stuck in depth, shift to the reflection zone. When scattered in the reflection zone, return to the focused zone. The movement itself becomes part of the ritual. Your body learns that changing space signals a polarity shift, not failure. If separate zones are impossible, use simple cues. Headphones with no music for focus, different lighting, or posture for reflection. This way, small signals carry powerful messages to your nervous system. Tension release recovery ritual. At the end of each deep session, practice a deliberate release. Stand up. Shake your body gently. Take 10 slow breaths. Write 3 things you are releasing: perfectionist thoughts, unfinished ideas, self-judgment. Then close the session completely. Do not carry it mentally into the next activity. This prevents emotional residue from building. It teaches your system that intensity and rest are partners, not enemies. Let's take the example of Rahul, a strategy consultant known for brilliant insights, but notorious for last-minute rushes and burnout. Traditional time blocking failed him repeatedly. He would schedule perfect days, only to abandon them by 10 a.m. When he mapped his polarities, however, he saw strong swings between autonomy and routine, plus stimulation and depth. Accordingly, he designed a custom ritual. Morning, 90-minute deep strategy block with full singularity. Mid-morning, 20-minute walk with voice notes. Scheduled chaos for idea generation. Afternoon, client work in shorter, urgent-friendly blocks. Evening, 15-minute polarity review. What worked? Which tension needed attention tomorrow? Within 6 weeks, Rahul reported something he had never experienced: consistent, deep progress without the usual evening exhaustion. His clients noticed sharper thinking, He noticed something deeper: peace. The rituals did not eliminate tension. Instead, they gave him a wise way to dance with it. You can adapt this. Start simple. Choose one ritual this week. Practice it with gentleness. Observe what happens in your body and your output. Adjust as needed. There is no perfect system, only the one that fits your personal polarities. Common obstacles will arise. You may feel guilty during freedom windows. That is natural. Remind yourself, this freedom serves your depth. You may drift too far into one polarity. Return without self-criticism. The return itself strengthens the muscle. Some days the ritual will flow beautifully. Other days it will feel difficult. Both are part of the practice. Consistency matters more than perfection. As you build these polarity-based rituals, you will begin to see measurable shifts. Your deep work sessions will last longer without force. Your insights will arrive more regularly. You will end days with energy rather than depletion. Most importantly, you will develop trust in your own attention, knowing you can return to focus not through willpower alone, but through intelligent relationship with your inner tensions. These rituals are not rigid rules. They are living practices. They grow with you. They adapt as your life changes. They honor the truth that you are not a machine to be optimized, but a conscious being whose greatest work emerges from wise balance. Master these rituals, and deep work stops being an occasional victory. It becomes your natural way of moving through the world, steady, creative, and profoundly human. Chapter 5. The Polarity of Environment and Energy. You finally sit down to do the work that matters. The intention is strong. Yet, within minutes, something feels off. The room feels too loud. The screen pulls at you. Your body grows restless. What should have been a focused hour dissolves into scattered effort and quiet frustration. You blame your discipline. You blame the task. But often, the real culprit is quieter. It is the environment and energy around you, unseen forces that quietly amplify every polarity imbalance you carry. The Polarity Law reveals a deeper truth here. Your external world is not neutral. It constantly pulls you toward one side of every tension. More stimulation or more calm. More connection or more solitude. More input or more output. When you ignore these polarities, they control you. When you design with them, they become powerful allies for deep work. Most people treat environment as background and energy as something to push through. The surface view says, just work harder, block more distractions, drink more coffee. The deeper truth is this: masterful focus comes from creating conditions where your environment and energy support the natural rhythms inside you. You do not fight your surroundings. You shape them intelligently. Let us look at the key polarities that shape your capacity. Stimulation versus calm. Your nervous system needs both, yet modern environments flood you with the first and starve you of the second. Bright lights, endless notifications, open office chatter, multiple tabs. These create constant microstimulation. Your attention fragments before you even begin. The deeper solution is not total silence forever. It is intentional polarity. Create spaces that allow you to choose the right environment for the right moment. Practical design. Build a primary deep work zone that leans toward calm. Minimal objects on the desk, soft lighting, noise-canceling headphones with brown noise or silence. Keep a secondary area for stimulation when needed, perhaps a different chair near a window or a short walk outside. When you feel your mind growing dull, shift environments deliberately. When overstimulation creeps in, return to calm. The movement itself teaches your system balance. Social versus solitary. Humans are wired for connection, yet deep work demands solitude. Many workspaces blur this line completely. Constant meetings, chat apps, and open collaboration pull you outward when your mind needs to go inward. A wise approach honors both. Protect blocks of true solitude where no one can reach you. Then intentionally reconnect in focused bursts. This prevents the exhaustion of being always on while feeding the belonging we all need. Recommendation: use clear signals. A closed door, a specific status, or even a simple note. Communicate to others: I am in deep work until this time. Most people respect boundaries when they are made visible and consistent. Solitude then becomes replenishing rather than lonely. Input versus output. You consume information constantly: articles, podcasts, messages, news. Yet, deep work requires output: creation, synthesis, problem solving. When input dominates, your mind becomes a crowded room with no space left to think. The polarity law invites rhythmic alternation. Protect output phases where consumption is strictly limited. Then allow deliberate input phases to gather new material. During deep output blocks, keep your devices in another room or use strict website blockers. After completing meaningful work, reward yourself with a focused input window. This turns consumption from a distraction into fuel. Now consider your physical energy, the foundation that holds all other polarities. Your body has natural cycles. Ignoring them leads to forced effort and diminishing returns. Working with them creates sustainable power. Practice simple recovery practices, such as after every 90 minutes of focused work, stand, move, hydrate, and breathe deeply for 5 minutes. Once or twice a day, step outside for natural light and fresh air. Protect sleep as sacred, not negotiable. These are not luxuries. They are polarity maintenance. There is science behind this wisdom. Research on ultradian rhythms shows that human attention and energy naturally ebb and flow every 90 to 120 minutes. Fighting this rhythm with willpower creates stress hormones and fatigue. Honoring it sustains performance. Let me share a story. Julia, a researcher, worked in a busy university lab. Her environment was filled with conversations, shared desks, and constant digital noise. She felt perpetually drained despite loving her work. When she began applying polarity thinking, she made small but powerful changes. She negotiated 2 hours of protected solitary time each morning in a quiet library corner. She designed a simple desk setup with only what she needed for output. She turned off all notifications and used a physical notebook for initial thinking. In the afternoons, she allowed collaborative and input phases. Within a month, her colleagues noticed sharper contributions. More importantly, Julia felt a steady energy she had not known in years. The environment no longer controlled her focus. She had shaped it. You can do the same. Here is a practical polarity audit you can use right now. Read each question slowly. Notice what arises. Does my primary workspace support calm when I need depth, or is it filled with competing stimuli? Do I have clear boundaries for solitude, or am I constantly reachable? Am I alternating input and output phases, or is consumption bleeding into creation time? Does my digital environment reduce friction for deep work, or constantly pull me outward? Am I honoring my body's need for movement and recovery, or treating energy as infinite? When I feel scattered, do I change my environment, or simply try harder in the same conditions? Answer honestly. The patterns you see are not failures. They are valuable data. Each honest observation gives you a clear lever for change. Begin with one shift this week. Perhaps clearing your desk to a minimalist state. Perhaps scheduling your first true solitude block. Perhaps creating a simple end-of-day ritual that releases the mental residue of input. Small adjustments, practiced consistently, compound into profound capacity. The bigger picture is this. When you align your environment and energy with the polarity law, deep work stops feeling like a daily battle against yourself. Your surroundings begin to support your best thinking. Your energy sustains longer and recovers faster. Distractions lose their power because the entire system is working with you, not against you. You still encounter challenging days. Life will still test your focus. But now you have a wiser relationship with the forces shaping your attention. You know how to adjust the environment. You know how to tend to your energy. You know how to return to center. You are building something rare, a life where focus flows more naturally because the world around you and the energy within you are no longer at war. They are in conversation, and in that conversation lives extraordinary work. Take a gentle breath. Feel the space this awareness creates. Your environment is waiting to be shaped. Your energy is ready to be honored. Conclusion: mastering lifelong focus. From polarity awareness to mastery. You have reached the end of this journey, yet in many ways, it is only the true beginning. You started with the familiar sting of frustration, sitting down with strong intention, only to watch your focus slip away into distractions, scattered thoughts, and quiet self-disappointment. You have now seen something deeper. Focus does not fail because you lack willpower. It fails when you fight the natural polarities that live inside every human mind: freedom and structure, stimulation and depth, urgency and importance, connectivity and solitude. The polarity law has shown you a quieter path, not the path of force and rigid systems, but the path of wise balance, of understanding tension instead of battling it, of designing your days, your environments, and your energy to work with your nature rather than against it. This is the transformation. You no longer chase an imaginary state of perfect, uninterrupted concentration. You have learned to create conditions where deep work can arise naturally, again and again, because you know how to navigate the opposing forces that shape your attention. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. You sit down to do the work that matters most. The calendar holds protected blocks, shaped by your personal polarities. Your environment supports calm when depth is needed, and gentle movement when inspiration calls. When urgency rises, you harness it without letting it shallow your thinking. When energy dips, you honor the need for release instead of pushing through. Distractions still appear, but they no longer own you. You observe them, adjust the polarity that needs attention, and return with quiet confidence. Your work carries more weight. Your presence feels more grounded. You end your days with a sense of meaningful progress rather than exhaustion and regret. This is not fantasy. This is what becomes possible when you stop fighting yourself and start dancing with the natural tensions of a focused life. The surface world will continue to sell you faster tools, stricter routines, and promises of effortless productivity. But you now know better. Real mastery is not loud. It is not about eliminating every distraction or becoming a productivity machine. It is about becoming the kind of person who can hold complexity without collapsing, who can create depth in the midst of real life, who can return to what matters with skill and compassion, no matter what the day brings. Here are the truths to carry forward. Not every day will feel focused. That is not failure. It is information. Your polarities will shift with seasons, responsibilities, and energy. Meet them with awareness instead of judgment. Small, consistent rituals practiced with presence will outperform heroic efforts every single time. The goal was never perfect focus. It was freedom from the constant struggle with your own attention. For the next 30 days, commit to one simple practice that honors this new understanding. Each morning, pause for 1 minute and ask yourself, which polarity needs my attention today? Then make one intelligent adjustment. Protect one deep block. Design one environment cue. Honor one recovery moment. Track nothing complicated. Just notice how it feels to work with yourself instead of against yourself. You will stumble. You will forget. Return gently. That return is the practice. That compassion is the mastery. You now hold something powerful. Not another temporary system, but a living framework that grows with you. A way of working that honors your full humanity. A relationship with your attention that brings clarity, sustainability, and quiet pride. In a world designed to scatter you, the person who can hold steady focus stands out. Not because they never waver, but because they know exactly how to return. Not because life became simpler, but because they learned to navigate its natural tensions with wisdom. Your deepest work is waiting, not in some perfect future moment, but in the present one, shaped by your awareness, supported by your rituals, guided by the polarity law. Take a slow, deep breath with me right now. Feel your shoulders settle. Feel the quiet space inside you that this understanding has created. This is where focused, meaningful living begins. You are no longer at war with your wandering mind. You have become its wise companion. The test will come. The polarities will always be present. But now you know how to meet them. Now you know how to return. Now you know the quiet power that lives in balance. Go create. Go focus. Go live the version of your life that can only emerge when your attention is finally free to serve what matters most. This is your time. You are ready. Let us begin again and again with steadiness, with presence, and with the grounded power that comes from true mastery.